Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's Buccaneer weather as a tropical storm has blown into Tampa Stadium just about 30 minutes ago. Hello, everybody. I'm Tim Ryan with Irv Cross here in Tampa. And Irv, the Eagles trying to bounce back from a shutout loss at the hands of Washington Monday night against the winless Buccaneers. And they'll be using their third starting quarterback since this season began.
Yeah, it's kind of controversial, too, Tim, because they're starting Brad Gable, the rookie out of Baylor, who's 6'3", 198 pounds, quick delivery, sets up well. Very smart quarterback, but unfortunately green and inexperienced, and I think he'll have a lot of trouble with this defense today.
Well, the Buccaneers have changed up their defense, too, as defensive coordinator Floyd Peters made several changes.
Well, most of the changes occurred in the secondary. He took 3 of his starters, put them on the bench, and put 3 new people in there because he wanted more speed. He was concerned about the deep pass here today. But the biggest change on Tampa Bay's club today was at quarterback. Vinny Testaverde, once again, returns to the starter.
Well, the Eagles are going to have the ball first, so it'll be young Mr. Gable we'll see in action before Vinny Testaverde takes the field. Steve Christie will kick it off. The Bucs to our left in white. Bounces through the end zone. And so the Eagles will start from their 20-yard line. And a driving rainstorm now greets Brad Gable, the free agent rookie from Baylor. He said, it's hard to believe that a year ago I was standing on the sidelines at Baylor with a broken hand, and here he is now the starting quarterback following the likes of Randall Cunningham and Jim McMahon, 2 of the best the NFL has seen. Gable will be throwing into the wind. And into this now really driving tropical storm. Keith Byers in motion behind the ball. Sherman on first down. Out the left side for about 6 yards. Heath Sherman, number 23. And joining Gable, Heller, McKnight, Alexander, Sultan, Antone Davis, the rookie at right tackle, Keith Jackson, the tight end. A shuffled line due to injuries right from the start of the year. Sherman and Byers, the running backs. You'll see Byers all over the lot. Roy Green and Kenny Jackson replacing the injured starters. Calvin Williams on injured reserve. Fred Barnett, who pulled a hamstring in the Monday night game against Washington. So they're hurting at wide receiver and along the offensive line. Sherman again. Looks like he has the first down at the 30-yard line, stopped by Jesse Solomon, number 55. Well, the front for Tampa was left alone by Floyd Peters, Seals, Newton, Davis, and Keith McCants. But at linebacker, Jesse Solomon, acquired a couple of weeks ago, has moved in ahead of Eugene Marv in the middle, Murphy and Broderick Thomas outside. Ricky Reynolds, the only remaining member of the starting secondary. Carl Carter in just his second game, starting on the right side. Marty Carter and Tony Covington, 2 rookies. Covington has moved ahead of Harry Hamilton. Marty Carter has moved ahead of William Frizzell in the safety spots. Sherman again. Loose ball. Bucs say they have it. Let's wait and see. Tim Newton, the man who knocked the ball loose from Heath Sherman. And it appears the Eagles will maintain possession. The last Eagle to get up is the tackle, Ron Heller, a former Buccaneer, and he grabbed that loose football.
The Eagles are determined to come into this game to control the ball on the ground. You can see Sherman, number 23, hit there now by Jesse Solomon, makes the initial contact, pops that ball out of there, and Ron Heller alertly scoops it up. Take what happened here, the forced fumbles. Phoenix leads the league with 18. The Eagles right behind them with 16. And Tampa Bay, 13 forced fumbles, making number 14 now.
So it's 2nd and 3 after a 7-yard gain. Sherman tripped up behind the line of scrimmage, and it was Ray Seals making the ankle tackle. Little gain, if any, on the play. It'll be 3rd down. In fact, they back it up about a half yard.
It's kind of curious to see how the Eagles would handle Gable. Tim, they said all week long they wanted to establish a running game for 2 reasons. First of all, protect the young quarterback, and secondly, be able to run the ball so he can throw it effectively. Now, Gable has his first throwing opportunity here, 3rd and about 4.
protection. The pass a little off the mark, intended for Sherman out of the backfield. So the Bucs hold, and the Eagles will have to punt. Gable is 0 for 1. Looking around at this sky, we do not see much of a break, although tropical storms do tend to blow on through. This one looks like it's going to be with us for a while here. Only gray skies in sight. Fiegel standing at his 21-yard line. Willie Drury waiting for it near the 20, and Fiegels is going to run out of there. First down, Philadelphia.
Basic rule, Tim, and covering punts is the in men in the line, come upfield, make the kicker kick the ball. You never turn around, but this looks like it's almost a set play. Even though it bounces off the ground, Fiegels reacts quickly with it and runs upfield for the first down. The Eagles reacted very quickly there and formed that wedge for him. Looks like it bounces off the ground, can't hang on to it because it's wet. Then he decides, okay, I'm going to take off with it. It makes a key play for the Eagles. Special teams really hurt Tampa Bay last week against Detroit, too, Tim.
John Hudson is the kick snapper, and he threw a bad one back there, and it looked as though Fiegels, in that circumstance, is allowed to run if he saw it open. So it's a first down. Pass a little low, intended for the tight end Jackson. Flag down at the line of scrimmage.
What happens, Tim, on a special teams play, when a play breaks down, the kicker probably says, go, or some kind of an alert where the guys know he's going to take off with it. He decided to go ahead and run, but as he ran, he yelled so he could pick up his blockers.
Discussion at the line of scrimmage among the officials. Red Cashin's first call.
On the offense, still first down.
Holding against Antone Davis, number 78, the rookie from Tennessee, their number 1 pick. And he had a couple of those on Monday night against Charles Mann of the Redskins, along with giving up a couple of sacks. They think this guy's going to be a terrific football player, but like a lot of number 1 offensive linemen, they throw them in there and let them sink or swim.
It takes a while to learn that position, Tim. It's pretty tough when you're going against speed pass rushers every week, but Antone's trying to hold his own.
First and 20. Sherman trying to pick his way. Good defensive reaction by the Bucs. Holds him to a gain of maybe 3. Broderick Thomas and Keith McCants make the tackle. And the injured player down appears to be Broderick Thomas, and that would be a huge blow. He has been a superstar the last couple of games for Tampa Bay.
That's almost an understatement, Tim. Broderick Thomas to Tampa Bay is to the Eagles what Reggie White is to them. He's just a force on defense. He's an emotional player. He plays at a very high level. He's a leader in tackles and forces fumbles and sacks. He's all over the field, and if he were to leave the football field, it would really change the personality of Tampa Bay's defense.
So Thomas being attended to, and we'll return to Tampa Bay scoreless in a moment. Tim Ryan with Irv Cross here at Tampa Stadium, where the rain continues to come down heavily, and Floyd Peters on the Tampa sideline absorbing some of that rain but keeping his eyes focused on his defense. Made a number of changes, but the one change he didn't make was Broderick Thomas, and we're happy to report that he left the field under his own power. And no doubt we'll be back shortly. Second down and 16. Eagles at their own 41. Sherman again. 6th carry for Heath Sherman. Picks up about 4 yards. And Sherman now with 22 yards on the game on 6 carries. Seals made the tackle, and Broderick Thomas returns to the field.
Heath Sherman is one of these quick slashing type backs, Tim. He's not the kind of a guy who gets in open field and bursts away with great speed. He does have good quickness, gets in the hole quickly. And the Eagle running backs have been pretty sensitive this week about people complaining about the running game not going well. No one said much there, except when you look in their eyes and say, gee whiz, let's get it blocked and we'll go with it.
6 defensive backs in for the Tampa Bay Bucs. Hampton and Fullington have joined the secondary. Gable with time and delivers the ball to the tight end Jackson. A nice move. And a first down, Philadelphia. To the 37-yard line of Tampa Bay, where Marty Carter, number 23, the rookie from Middle Tennessee State, made the stop. 18 yards.
Marty Carter made the stop. This is a good delivery here, good protection. So Gable had a lot of time to set up. Remember, he's a good pocket patter. a passer that has a quick release. Jackson finding the open spot, makes the catch. Now, Alonzo Hampton has a shot at him here, misses. Keith Jackson comes upfield for a nice gain and a first down for the Eagles.
So Gable connecting with his first completion. First down. Sherman again. Sherman for about 2. Roderick Thomas stops him at the 35-yard line. Sherman, the leading rusher a year ago. Of course, when Buddy Ryan was there, he said, all my guys, if I gave the ball 25 times a game, could rush for 100 yards. We don't ask them to do that. And Kotite has the same philosophy. They like the short passing game. And so guys like Keith Sherman don't really get a chance to show what they can do. And of course, Keith Byers, I think everybody would agree, if he was a pure running back, he'd have a lot of mileage.
Yeah. Well, they're not concerned about having a 1,000-yard rusher. They want their backs to be versatile, to be able to keep the good blockers, good pass receivers, and obviously good runners. They do that quite well.
David Alexander, the center you saw breaking the huddle, the only offensive lineman who's played every game. Sherman is stuffed by Tim Newton right at the line of scrimmage, probably lost a yard on the play. So it'll be third down, indeed a 2-yard loss, 3rd and 10. Rich Kotite now just blocked in your picture there by Zeke Bratkowski. They brought him out of the coach's box from upstairs to signal in to Brad Gable today. That's something that Pat Ryan just simply has not had enough time doing. So they've got Bratkowski down there with that chore today, sending in Kotite's plays. From the shotgun, draw play, Sherman, and he is stuffed again. Solomon and Thomas waiting for him in the Eagles' backfield.
Tim, the Buccaneers had the best defense they could possibly have at that time. They had a blitz call where both Roderick Thomas and Jesse Solomon were coming right up the middle of the offensive formation. So, you know, the running back didn't have any place to go. They were dogging right in front of him. They almost got the handoff.
Drury awaiting the punt from Fiegels. Drury standing at the 10-yard line. Fair catch signaled by Drury at the 16, and he might be a little sorry he did that. He had some open real estate in front of him. We'll be right back. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross at Tampa Stadium. The rain still falls. 8:05 consumed off the clock by the Eagles. Vinny Testaverde gets the offense on for Tampa Bay for the first time today. His numbers for the season. Testaverde returning to the lineup after last week Chandler starting and leaving with a concussion. Robert Wilson will be the fullback. Reggie Cobb moves ahead of Anderson as the running back starter. Hill and Carrier the wide receivers. Across the front, it'll be Rob Taylor starting for Charles McRae, who pulled a hamstring in practice on Thursday. First down from the 14-yard line. And throwing deep. Carrier can't quite get there. A flag is thrown after the play. So the Bucs come out throwing deep on the first play of the game, and it was there, Irv.
Boy, it really was there. Just the ball really should have been caught. Carrier extending himself as far as he could, just couldn't quite hang on, but that was a nicely designed play, and looked like Ben Smith, number 26 for the Eagles in the secondary, is going to be the one caught for a defensive foul.
Interference call is against the Eagles. Ben Smith had the coverage.
Oh boy, right in his hands. Well, I thought it was further out than that, but that ball really hit him in the palm of the hands, Tim. They should have caught it, and Vinny knows it. Oh boy, how close can you get?
Well, they still wind up at the 40-yard line with a first down on the interference penalty against Smith. Clearly that occurred earlier than when the ball came down into the hands of Carrier. For the I formation, play action. Testaverde wants to run with it. Gets about 4. The Eagles did have good coverage downfield. Pitts made the tackle on the quarterback. Reggie White, Mike Golick, Mike Pitts, and Clyde Simmons, although Jerome Brown actually got the start, and they rotate all three of those guys anyway, the tackles. Joyner, Evans, and Small, the linebackers. Smith and Allen on the corners. Hopkins and Waters are the safeties. Jerome Brown, former University of Miami star, has 120 fans and friends here. Reggie White of Tennessee was looking forward to facing rookie Charles McCray of Tennessee, but Rob Taylor having to start for the injured McCray. Robert Wilson, and it looks like he has a Buccaneer first down. It'll be close. Let's see where they spot it. They need to get right to midfield, and it may be just a hair short.
Tim, the Eagles run a fairly wide base defense where so it's very difficult to get outside of them. So Tampa Bay today wants to get inside from tackle to tackle. So you'll see a variety of plays where they'll try to fake like they're going outside and come back inside from tackle to tackle and see if they can't get yardage there, because it's really almost impossible to sweep that Eagle defense.
Golick has come in at tackle now, number 90 on the left side. William Thomas, a linebacker, on the right side for Small. Third and short, about a foot. Testaverde dropped the ball, and now he's in trouble and loses 10 yards on the play. It looked like he was faking to Reggie Cobb or trying to hand it off to Cobb, but the ball came loose, and Testaverde winds up losing 10.
Tim, they have a play pass with the same action. This is a handoff. The ball really sort of looks like it hit off his hip and dropped to the ground. He's trying to hand the ball off to Cobb. There was daylight there for yardage. That just winds up being a fumble and a muff play by the Buccaneers.
Yeah, it looked like Robert Wilson, who was the lead blocker, actually knocked the ball out of Testaverde's hands as he was trying to hand it off to the running back behind him. So the Bucs have to punt. Royal standing at his 25, hits from the 30. Rod Harris at the 8. To the 18. And we'll return to Tampa Stadium, still scoreless, 4:40 to go, first quarter. Well, next Tuesday, the American League Championship Series begins here on CBS. You'll see exciting primetime coverage. Game 1 of the American League East champions Toronto Blue Jays against the AL West champs, the Minnesota Twins. And then the National League Championship starts on Wednesday night. The East champs, the Pittsburgh Pirates, against the Atlanta Braves in Game 1 of that series. It all starts at 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday night. First down, Eagles at their 19-yard line. Keith Byers for about 6 yards on first down. Carter and Reynolds, Marty Carter and Reynolds on the stop.
When you talk to any defensive coach in the league, they'll say the guy we fear most in the Eagle offense is right there, number 41, Keith Byers, because he's so versatile. He's a good pass receiver, good blocker, but he runs very well. He's a much bigger and stronger running back than you realize. You saw him break the tackles there. He's close to 240 pounds, runs like a 4.4 or 4.5 40. He has great speed. You have to gang tackle him to bring him down.
Buccaneers send Dexter Manley in at right end, replacing Keith McCants on 2nd and 4. Make it a long 3. Myers again, and he has an Eagle first down at the 30-yard line. Tim Newton on the tackle.
First down.
And Byers gets a breather. And it looks like the rain has gone away for the moment at least. Perhaps it's blown through, as it tends to do here in Florida. Byers looks like he has to fix the strap on his helmet. Had to take himself out of the ball game.
Ball just inside the 30-yard line.
On first down, Sherman now the lone running back. 3 wide receivers. Jackson, Roy Green, and James Joseph is in Byers' spot. Sherman gets about a yard and is stopped there by Jesse Solomon. What a pickup Solomon has been.
Also in defensive league for the Buccaneers.
Heath Sherman, 19 yards on 10 carries so far. Byers comes back in to replace the rookie James Joseph, having had his hat repaired. 2nd and 9. Kenny Jackson in traffic. A gain of about 5 on the play. Broderick Thomas and Carl Carter both there, and the young quarterback Gable delivered that one on the money.
That was like throwing a dart at a dartboard, Tim. I'll show you what's happening here. Jackson has to work his way into this area, and Gable has to hit this thing right between the linebackers. There's a lane there he has to hit. Now watch his delivery. He's going to set up, has good protection, and there's sort of a lane there he's looking at right now between the linebackers. Right there, he's open, and zap. Oh boy, that's a perfectly thrown football.
3rd down and 4, and this time he tries to lob it to the sideline, in and out of the hands of Byers. On the coverage was Tony Covington, the rookie safety, number 25. Might have gotten a hand in there to at least disrupt the catching attempt of Byers.
You don't see this very often.
Nope.
Keith Byers has excellent hands. That ball should have been caught. Tim, he just dropped it.
Absolutely.
You know, the defensive back was 2 steps away, and Byers made the old error that everybody knows better than doing. Catch the ball before you run with it. Look it into your hands. He didn't do it.
Eagles catches a high snap, and his kick comes up a little short. Drury from the 27, but he's dropped immediately by good coverage from the Eagles, led by Kenny Jackson. Just a 37-yard punt. We'll be back to Tampa Stadium in a moment, still scoreless. Well, after Vinny Testaverde said he was tired of being the scapegoat, Chris Chandler, standing there with a baseball hat on Wednesday, said, "I feel bad for the linemen because I know I'll play harder for them than he will," meaning Vinny. "I know I'll get up more times than he will. I'll do more for them." Well, naturally, Testaverde responded to that as diplomatically as possible at the time. He said, "I think each player thinks he's the best, so I don't blame him for thinking that he can do more than I can." But these two guys are not happy with each other, and you wonder whether the team is happy with either of them. Testaverde, and that is incomplete. Intended for Hill. Eric Allen may have got a hand on it. The ball was just a little short, intended for Bruce Hill.
Eric Allen did a pretty good job of recovering on him, but he's beaten by a couple of steps. Hill is behind him, but Allen, with good inside position, almost comes up with an interception. Had that ball been lofted a little higher and over his head, you know, that could have been a real big gain.
It leaves 2nd and 10, so twice now the Bucs have thrown on 1st down. No score, approaching the end of the 1st period, 1:21 to go. Reggie Cobb. Collared by Andre Waters, but not before he gets into Eagles territory at midfield. 1st down, Tampa Bay, 22 yards.
The Eagles were something they call a bear defense. You see Reggie White here over the center. The center and the 2 guards are covered. What you want to do is attack this off tackle. That's the thing that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are looking for. They can't get outside of this Eagle defense, but you can run off tackle. Look at it open up. There goes a running back. The next person to confront him is a deep back, 20 yards upfield.
So a big play for the Bucs and into Eagles territory for the first time. Bob again. Same play. No, this time it's the fullback, Wilson, pardon me, Robert Wilson. And now for an NFL Today update, let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York.
All right, Tim, at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, from 11 yards out, Darren Nelson makes his way to the end zone for the Vikings' first touchdown in 11 quarters. And with the extra point, it's Minnesota 7, Detroit nothing. Tim?
Darren Nelson back there, Greg. Isn't that something after his odyssey of leaving the Vikings and returning, and comes up with a go-ahead touchdown today?
Can you imagine not scoring in 11 quarters, though? The high-powered Vikings? You know, what's happened to that team?
Yeah, that's a difficult one to figure out. They're going with Rich Gannon at quarterback today. 2nd down and 7. Wilson again, the rookie from Texas A&M, their 3rd pick this year. Big kid, 240 pounds. And leaves a 3rd down and 5 as the gun sounds to end the 1st quarter of play. And at the end of 1, the score, the Philadelphia Eagles nothing, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers nothing.
Sponsored by Bud.
Tim Ryan with Irv Cross as we begin the 2nd quarter of play, and it moved along quickly in the 1st with a lot of running downs. Philadelphia had the ball for 11-18, Tampa for just 3:42. but they're now in Eagles territory at the 45-yard line. Vinny Testaverde returning to the starting role after being sat down last week and getting into the game after an injury to Chandler. Not accomplishing much himself. And he is sacked for a loss of about 7, the first sack of the afternoon, and it's Reggie White, number 92, his 5th sack of the season. The Eagles had 21 coming into the game.
Tim, what they do is they get Reggie over the center, the tackles cover the guard, and they just put pressure on the pocket and try to collapse it. So everybody has to block one-on-one. Now watch what happens when the ball is snapped. Reggie takes the center and just drives him back, breaks him down. Here he comes. Another sack for the Eagles.
So Tampa Bay will have to punt. Mark Royals to Rod Harris standing at the Eagles 10. Short punt. Held up in the wind and now takes a Tampa bounce. Inside the 10 to the 8. So the Eagles will start deep in their own end when we return.
By Bud Light.
Tim Ryan and Irv Cross back here at Tampa Stadium. You see in the first quarter the Eagles uncharacteristically are rushing pretty well, 42 yards, passing for only 23, but Tampa Bay -7 in the passing yardage.
Previous spot, and we'll be re-kicked with 4th down.
Well, now that's what I call a late flag.
Wow, we went away to commercial, came back. They had a huddle down there. And as a matter of fact, the officials, while we were in commercial, one of the officials walked over to the Eagles huddle and dropped the flag about 5 minutes after the last play. And now we just find out there's an illegal procedure penalty that should have been called, but they finally corrected it. Wow, I've never seen that before.
I haven't either. So we're going to have a play now in the second period that actually occurred in the first period. Is that?
Yes, right. What do you do with the play-by-play report? Is this a first period play or a second period play?
Actually, Royals had punted just near the end of the quarter, but of course we had a commercial following the change of possession.
Now they have to find the line of scrimmage again. Oh boy.
So at least Royals does get to kick in the same direction, but that was close. Nonetheless, there was a commercial break, and he's got to do it all over again, 5 yards back.
You realize if we hadn't gone into commercial, this penalty never would have been called. Oh boy, here we go.
Well, you know, the thing is, Royals had a real good punt. He had them at the 8-yard line with a good bounce. It was actually a short punt that took a good Tampa Bay bounce, and now he's got to try and duplicate that again. And this is a good kick. Rod Harris takes it at the 12 and is up to the 20-yard line before he's stopped by Marty Carter. But again, the Buccaneers hurt themselves on their punting unit. They had 2 critical penalties in last week's game. Royals comes up with a good punt, 45 yards, and an 8-yard return. But instead of being at the 8-yard line, Brad Gable will now start from just outside the 20 of Philadelphia. Brad Gable, this young rookie who last year was standing at this time with his hand in a cast watching his Baylor teammates play, made the team as a free agent. In fact, he was a long shot to become a starter at Baylor out of a tiny high school in Cuero, Texas, and became a starter as a freshman at Baylor, almost unheard of, Southwest Conference. Here he is starting for the Eagles. Sherman. Not much. Reuben Davis and Kevin Murphy stop him right at the line of scrimmage.
Heads up play by Reuben Davis, but following up again on Brad Gable, his folks have a satellite dish, and they invited about 150 people over their home to watch this game today. So they're watching it right now, and actually only about 7,000 people in his hometown, so I guess quite a few of them right now at his parents' house watching their son play in his very first pro game as a starter.
Well, he said if this had happened even 3 or 4 weeks ago, it would have been too much for me, but over these last few weeks, I've gotten ready for it mentally. He was eager to play. Second down, Sherman. Good running by Heath Sherman. Close to a first down out near the 30-yard line before Frizzell and Thomas pulled him down. William Frizzell, who lost his starting role to Marty Carter, in on that play.
Game line, 3rd and 1.
Sherman, now up to 28 yards on the day.
Ball at the 29-yard line.
Richie Kotite having to go without 2 starting wide receivers. Calvin Williams on injured reserve with a dislocated shoulder. Barnett, a hamstring pull in the Washington game. 3rd and a yard. Sherman plowing and maybe short. Make it Robert Drummond, pardon me. Drummond, number 36. Their short yardage specialist. This aggressive Buccaneer fronter, they're doing a good job.
They didn't gain an inch there, Tim. As a matter of fact, I don't think he got back to the line of scrimmage. You always look at the ball and see who's getting the push. If the offensive line is going forward or going back. And that play, when the ball was snapped, I didn't see anything but white shirts moving, and the green shirts didn't move an inch. So they stopped him. It was a great defensive effort.
Davis and Newton in the middle of that front 4 doing the job for the Buccaneers. Fiegel standing at his 15 to punt. Drury waiting for it at the Bucs 25. Oh, dandy punt by Fiegel. Knocks him all the way up inside the 15. And Drury gets to the 20. A 58-yard punt by Jeff Fiegels. So Tampa will start from their 20 when we return. Tim Ryan and Herb Cross back at Tampa Stadium, and the Buccaneer cheerleaders trying to rile up the fans. It is not a full house here. They haven't had one in a while. And of course the rain didn't exactly encourage folks to come out. It was forecast this morning, but it's gone away. First down from the 20-yard line. A lot of shifting on this play. Gary Anderson on the field for the first time is wide right. Testaverde goes to him. And he picks up about 6, hit immediately by Andre Waters. And now for another NFL Today report. Let's go to Greg in New York.
All right, Tim, scoreless game at Soldier Field in Chicago. Mark Rippon has visions of getting on the board. Looks for Gary Clark, but watch Lemuel Stinson pick it off. The Bears take over. They're still scoreless at Soldier Field. Tim?
That one has all the earmarks of being a fine game. Tracking that for you and keeping you up to date on it as we move along. Of course, the Bears have great interest in the Central Division, and Washington in the East Division. A lot of Philly fans want to keep track of that. Testaverde with a lot of time, and it's picked up. Byron Evans fumbled it into the end zone. Buccaneers have recovered it there. There was no whistle at the goal line. He was carrying that ball out in front of him after making a great play. And you had the feeling if he got hit, he might lose it, and he did. Paul Gruber is the guy who knocked it loose.
Gruber knocked it loose. It's really unfortunate. Byron Evans makes a heads-up play, comes up with a clean interception. And again, he's not a running back, he's a linebacker, but he knows better. When he catches the ball, tuck it away, protect the football. Here he makes the catch, intended for Ron Hall inside there. Good defense. Now, put it under your arm. Here he's carrying out there like a loaf of bread. He gets hit, and there goes the football. And Tampa Bay recovers in the end zone for a touchback.
Yeah, it was Wilson actually who knocked it loose, and Gruber who recovered it. Robert Wilson, the fullback. And so a good play by Evans that turns into a bad play, and the Bucs have it right back again at the 20. Hall makes it strong side right. Reggie Cobb gets a couple. Tampa Bay, as you can see, has really not had much of an opportunity to do anything offensively, and they wind up throwing an interception, and only for the mistake by Evans and the way he was carrying the football. Could well be in the end zone by now.
I can understand Evans' effort and wanted to score, but once you get the ball, set up a scoring opportunity for your offense. Just maintain possession of the football.
Complete to Ron Hall. And it's Wes Hopkins on the tackle after a gain of about 6 yards. It'll be 3rd down and 2. And once again, we've got some rain falling at Tampa Stadium.
I'm sure Tampa Bay is happy to see Ron Hall back in the lineup and doing well. He's had some problems with his ribs, Tim, and in my opinion, this young man is #1 among tight ends today in the National Football League. Now, I know Keith Jackson's playing for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's a great receiver and everything else, but this man has the hands, he blocks well, he's a total package.
John Booty, Rich Miano, and Otis Smith all in the secondary now on 3rd and 2. Wide open is Lawrence Dotsey, and a first down.
The key to this play, Tim, again, is right here. The man over the center, Reggie White. This Bear defense, they want to go one-on-one here. He gets driven out of there. It creates a vacuum inside because the middle linebacker is not in there. The Bucs attack that area. Dotsey comes up with a big play for Tampa Bay.
First down, Tampa Bay at their 43-yard line. Reggie Cobb, about a yard. Byron Evans on the tackle. Evans, who made a real fine catch in the game Monday night against Washington, although replay ruled that it wasn't an intercept. Most everybody else thought it was. Had to scoop it right off the ground in full flight. Comes up with another one here today. Rapidly improving linebacker, getting a lot more attention.
Well, he's a real student of the game. He's a bright young man, you know, and he's always a great student in the classroom, a great student in pro football, studies everything to the finest degree and calls all the defensive signals out there and seldom makes mistakes.
Honor student in sociology at the University of Arizona. Reggie Cobb. Nice spin move. Gets out to the midfield stripe. A gain of about 6. It'll leave 3rd and 2 for Tampa Bay. Golick and Pitts made the tackle, but they had to turn around and catch him from behind.
Tim, that's why Reggie Cobb was playing today instead of Gary Anderson. Gary Anderson is a great running back, but he's much smaller and he's basically an outside runner. Cobb is a big, strong back who can run from tackle to tackle with a great deal of authority and breaks a lot of tackles. And that play broke one at the point of attack, and that's why he's starting today.
3rd down and 3. Booty and Smith come into the secondary. Testaverde gets time, and he's off the mark. Intended for Mark Carrier, and it'll be 4th down. The Eagles having to go without their nickelback, Isel Jenkins, who's got a hamstring pull. Bud Carson told us on Friday that Jenkins was telling him he was going to play, but Carson wasn't sure he'd make it, and indeed he has not appeared out there this afternoon. Royals will punt to this man, Rod Harris, standing at the 15 of Philadelphia. Side of his foot. May turn out. And it'll bounce out at about the 18-yard line. So still, we're looking for points on the board when we return to Tampa in a moment. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross at Tampa Stadium, where we are still scoreless, 7:36 to go until halftime. And the Eagles have it at their own 17-yard line, and you can see what the game plan is here to help the young quarterback Gable.
No question about it. Keep the ball on the ground. They'll do anything to risk having turnovers. So 16 runs and only 4 passes so far.
Gable is 2 of 4 passing. Sherman the lone setback. He's going to throw on first down this time out to Kenny Jackson, and Jackson makes a good catch on a low ball. Only his 2nd start since 1987 for Kenny Jackson. Cut a couple of times, brought back a couple of times. Just one of those guys that they know exactly what he can do. He's a great fill-in player and a great special teams player.
He doesn't try to overdo it either. He knows what he can do. He plays within himself. But again, a wily veteran has been around for a long time. Is a smart football player. He comes up with key plays quite often.
8-year man out of Penn State. One of the times he was cut by the Eagles, he went to Houston. They let him go. The Eagles signed him right back. 2nd and a yard. Sherman, first down. Philadelphia to the 32-yard line where Jesse Solomon made the tackle.
Heath Sherman, what the Eagles are doing here, though, Tim, is that they attack the bubble. The Bucs run an odd man line. What happens when you move this direction, a hole develops, he wants to cut back into it. Now Sherman finds that crease and comes back against the grain. You see him cutting back here? Big play.
14 carries for Sherman. Unusual number for the Eagles running backs. First down. Gable, and it is picked up. Marty Carter, the rookie from Middle Tennessee State. One of the changes Floyd Peters made today, starting him ahead of Frizzell at safety.
There are a couple of changes there, Tim. Of course, Peters made the change personnel-wise, but Gable saw something that really wasn't there. Marty Carter, the safety man, is coming up to play the short zone. He thinks he's going deep, but no, he's not. Here he is over here. Change up in the defensive coverage. Rookie misread it, threw a bad pass. Receiver also misread it. Tampa Bay comes up with an interception.
Well, that's something you predicted could happen in this ball game by going with the rookie. His first mistake. Let's see if he gets a chance to make up for it. A little discussion there with Keith Jackson about what happened.
Yeah, it was a combination of things. I think the receiver misread it too, but the coverage changed. The safety, instead of going deep as he started to, was really coming up to the short zone. Gable threw it right to him.
Bucks were ready to go at the line of scrimmage, and the officials have stopped play here. Referee Red Cashin wants to have a discussion with the back judge.
The play was ruled as a catch with an interception. The play is being reviewed.
Well, just before they got it snapped, they're told that there's being a review as to whether he got that ball before it hit the ground. Can't tell from that. Remember, it has to be conclusive. The replay looker today is Cal Lepore. It was obviously inconclusive. So first and 10, Buccaneers at the 46. Slot formation right. Reverse. Fake reverse. Testaverde with all kinds of time, and it's incomplete. Credit the Eagles secondary, Irv, because they stayed with the guys downfield, and Testaverde had nowhere to throw.
That's right. That is what I call, as an old defensive backfield coach, a coverage sack. The secondary, these guys stay with their receivers all the way, even though the fake came up and Testaverde tried to suck him in. They didn't go for it. But you've got experienced corners out here. And Allen and Smith, they're not going to go for a play like this. Watch this. Stay with the receiver. Stay with the receiver. I call this plaster. When things break down, stick with your receiver. The quarterback has to eat it. That's exactly what happened. That is a coverage sack.
Testaverde tried to get it to Wilson, and Seth Joyner broke it up. Second and 10. Sideline is knocked away by Ben Smith. Intended for Gary Anderson.
The Eagles corners, Tim, I think, are two of the best cornerbacks in football. Eric Allen, number 21, working one-on-one on number 88, Mark Carrier. Again, seals him off. Testaverde is forced him to go to the other side where Ben Smith has his man covered by a blanket. The corners on the outside in Philadelphia are two of the best in football.
Bud Carson came over to become the defensive coordinator after Buddy Ryan left. Kotite became head coach and hired Carson. Carson, who's been around a little bit, Jets, Browns, and so on, said, I've never come into a camp and had two better cornerbacks for my secondary. He loves it. 4 wideouts in now on third down. Good catch and breaking loose, but good recovery by Hopkins as Drury shook off the tackle of Otis Smith. But Hopkins, following up on the play, held him to a gain of about 6. It'll be third down.
That's funny. He shook off Otis Smith, but he couldn't shake off Wes Hopkins. Hopkins is much bigger than Otis Smith. He's about 220 pounds, 215 or so. Very effective tackler.
Fourth down. I should correct myself. Punting situation for Royals, standing at the 45-yard line of Tampa Bay, and that is Rod Harris at the 10 of Philadelphia. Angling and fair caught at the 16 by Rod Harris, so the defensive struggle continues here in the second quarter. 5:04 to go. Terry with all the scores, highlights, and latest information from around the league, and a close look at the Atlanta Braves. What a thrilling job done by those guys, coming from last to first and headed into the National League playoffs.
Well, you got the defensive coordinators up here, Floyd Peters on the right for Tampa Bay, and of course Bud Carson for the Eagles. But talking about the NFL today, Vinny Testaverde yesterday, talking to him, said that he was so thrilled to have Terry Bradshaw talk to him. He was a childhood idol, and he's really excited about having him on the phone.
Brad Gable from the 16 of the Eagles. Gives it to Heath Sherman, and Sherman continues to run well. Gets about 9 on the play before Jesse Solomon tripped him up.
Making the stop along with Solomon.
So the Eagles stick with their game plan here in a scoreless game, trying to run that ball. 15 carries for Sherman. Came into the game with a total of 105 yards. He's got 41 here in the first half.
Gain of 8, 2nd and 2.
I believe 2nd and 2, an 8-yard pickup. Jackson and Roy Green come out to the right side. Sherman running behind the wingback Byers, who gives him a good block, and he gets a first down near the 30-yard line. Carl Carter and Marty Carter, no relation, make the tackle on the play. Well, the rain continues to fall here at Tampa Stadium on a scoreless football game that has been dominated by the 2 defensive coaches you saw. Bud Carson, his usual fine effort, and of course Floyd Peters making some changes today that I think you'd have to say have been effective.
They've worked very well in the secondary, but both of these coaches not only great teachers, Tim, but they make great adjustments during the course of the game. So whatever the offense is trying to do to them, they make adjustments quickly to shut it down. Right now we're looking at 2 goose eggs on the scoreboard.
Gable is 3 for 6 passing. He'll throw on first down, and that's off the mark, intended for Roy Green. And Green, in just his 3rd game, a familiar name to football fans around the league, as a longtime star with the Cardinals.
Well, I was talking to Roy a couple of days ago about wearing Eagle green. I said, "Did you ever think, after all the years you spent with the Cardinals, you'd be wearing an Eagle uniform?" He said, "Well, I'm just happy to play football again. I'm glad I'm here." He said, "But I was disappointed when the Cardinals let me go because they had so many great years there, and I never thought I'd ever play anyplace else."
Boy, a great pickup for sure. And there's Carl Carter, another Cardinal who was let go and was with Cincinnati this year. Dropped from their injured reserve, waived, and picked up immediately by Tampa Bay, and he's become an instant starter. Gable for Byers, a little behind him. Byers had a chance to catch it, but that's slippery, and he was sliding away from the ball that was thrown behind him. So Gable now has been a little loose with his last 2 passes.
I'm a little surprised to see that too, Tim, because he does have a very strong arm. He may be consciously trying to take something off the ball in those shorter passes, but I've seen him throw that pass a number of times, and normally he's waist high to letters high with it and not down on the ground as he has been with those last 2 throws.
Zeke Kwiatkowski, pretty good quarterback in his day, sending in the signals. He speaks of Gable as a diamond that we just have to keep polishing. Well, they didn't expect to have to polish him so quickly this season. I mean, here's a free agent rookie playing behind Randall Cunningham and Jim McMahon when the season started. That one's caught. Keith Jackson, and he reaches out for the Eagles' first down. Grizel made the tackle, along with Ricky Reynolds.
You know, with Gable in the lineup, though, Tim, Keith Jackson seems to be coming alive. Coming in this game, he hadn't caught very many passes, primarily because the Eagles have been concentrating on trying to keep him inside. Now, Kotai told us that we're running the same offense now we've always run. It's just that Jackson hasn't been open, so we haven't been going to him. But right now, take a look at what we can see here now. The first 5 games this year, 9 catches for 64 yards, where last year at the same time, 18 catches, 260 yards. So Keith Jackson's coming back with Gable at quarterback.
He's got 2 today for 29 yards. Slot formation left. Sherman straight ahead, breaks a tackle.
Sherman up the middle.
Tim Newton had him right at the line of scrimmage, but couldn't hold on. So Sherman showing some strength. Roderick Thomas finally nailed him. Gain of about 3. Reuben Davis a little slow to get up. And Tim Newton is still down on the ground. So 2 Bucks hurt on the same play. So we'll take a commercial timeout and be back at Tampa in a moment. Off the field, and he was preceded by Reuben Davis, both injured on the same play. There's Davis, and looks like he might have got poked in the eye or something, hard to tell. And we saw Newton holding his arm or his wrist when he came off. So could be a costly play for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Heath Sherman breaking loose from Newton, and now you can understand why. He hurt himself. Dexter Nichols and Rhett Hall, a rookie, is Hall from California. Nichols, a 5-year man out of Florida State, picked up as a free agent from the Jets. They've come in the middle. Gable on second down, he's sacked. Thomas continues his outstanding play, his 3rd sack of the year.
This guy, Tim, has been outstanding. We've watched him several times this season. He just seems to get better from week to week. He personally says, I'm one of the better linebackers in football, and he's certainly playing like it right now.
2-minute warning has been reached here in Tampa. We'll be right back. Well, it's scoreless here with 2 minutes to go at halftime. I guess that's a bit of a surprise, but the defenses have been great, and Broad Thomas has been great. And here's a young man who says, my game's yet to be seen.
I can hardly wait. Oh, gee whiz.
He just picked up his 3rd sack of the season, and it's 3rd down and 16 Eagles. Interception. Darrell Fullington just acquired. The former Viking picked up from the Patriots on waivers, and Gable's miscue gives the Bucs the ball at the 38-yard line of Philadelphia.
I'm sorry, Tim. Gable seems to have a little trouble reading the safeties. He threw another interception early in the game. This time, number 27, Darrell Fullington. You can't see him on the screen. He's on the inside here. He's doubling his wide receiver in and out. There he is, right there, coming underneath in the short zone. Ball's thrown right to him. Gable never saw him.
Darrell Fullington, 2nd Bucs interception of the game, and Brad Gable finding some of the problems that Irv thought he might today. And Keith McCants comes off the field slowly for Tampa Bay after the last play. But the Bucs offense on now. 1:52 remaining 1st half. 39-yard line of the Eagles. Reggie Cobb for 2, maybe 3. Joyner made the first hit. Mike Pitts, the tackle, number 74, there with him.
Talking about 2s and 3s, Tim. I think Tampa Bay right now might be thinking 3. The ball's around the 35-yard line. If they can advance that ball inside the 30, they're in field goal range. So I'm sure they're thinking that way right now. And don't lose his field position if he gets 6, fine, but don't take away the opportunity for at least 3.
Testaverde, 4 of 9 passing with 1 interception. Picked off by Joyner, but out of bounds. Not a good throw intended for Gary Anderson. Joyner, if he had had a yard to work with, would have had another interception.
That ball almost looked like it slipped out of Benny's hand, though, Tim. You see the velocity on it sort of just flooded out there, but Joyner makes a terrific catch here. Can't quite get both feet in bounds.
3rd down. Close call for the Bucs there, and some of the Boo Birds came out immediately. Washington up on the Bears, and Minnesota beating the Lions at the Silverdome. 3rd down. That's incomplete. Carrier, the ball thrown on the wrong side of him, and he couldn't hold on. John Booty, number 42, playing the nickelback spot, had the coverage. Now the Boo Birds exercising their lungs a little more. Chandler on the quarterback on the sideline, the quarterback on the sideline.
He told us he only had 7 snaps this week. The way Coach Williamson works his quarterbacks, the starter gets all the reps, the backup gets whatever he can. And Chandler said, I've only handled the ball 7 times all week long, but if I get a chance to play, I just have to make the best of it.
His biggest complaint after not being started again this week was that, hey, they gave Vinny 4 games at the start of the year to show what he could do. Why don't they give me 4? Instead, he had less than 1 because he was knocked out last week with a concussion. Now they're bringing the offensive unit back on the field here with 4th down and 8. They had the punting unit on. 1:09 on the clock. 0-5 team. Williamson says, let's go for it.
Why not? The defense is playing well. If you don't make the 1st down, you can probably hold them here.
He's got him. Carrier to the 15-yard line. 58 seconds remain. Testaverde did very well indeed on that play. 22 yards.
The thing he did here, Tim, was he didn't panic. His protection broke down, and he just bought time by just scrambling around back here. Testaverde runs the ball very well. The most impressive thing about this pass is he's going to his left, throwing across his body with his right arm to make that completion. A very accurate throw.
And there was good coverage downfield on the initial patterns, which is why he didn't release the ball earlier. First down, Bucks, 15-yard line. No score. Fade pattern, incomplete. Intended for Mark Carrier. Eric Allen had the coverage, and it was good.
Eric Allen really played that smartly, though. Number 21, covering Carrier, gets inside of him. Now watch what he does here. He just sort of lean towards the receiver. This is a great move by defensive back. See this? They'll never call pass interference on you, Eric, but it was awfully close. Just lean into him and take the inside position away. Broke up the pass pattern.
Second down. Incomplete. Intended for Jesse Anderson, who had broken off his pattern and came back in the opposite direction, but Testaverde couldn't get it to him. Jerome Brown had the rush on.
I can't believe the amount of time he's had to throw the football. I mean, his offensive line is giving him what he said he wanted all along, was time to throw the football. He's had that on practically every pass he's thrown. That one incomplete.
Smith and Booty come into the secondary. Rich Miano. Third down and 10. Intended for Bruce Hill, incomplete. Hill slipped down just as the ball was arriving. This turf is now wet and greasy from the rain. Booty had the coverage.
Really, I think one reason why he slipped, he has his shoes taped. You see this bad kind of look around his shoes. A lot of players put tape around their shoes to keep their feet on. When you do that, it also causes, when you move the side of your shoe, it causes you to slip because it's very slippery.
So now they'll have a field goal try of 32 yards from Christie. No good. Christie was 8 of 11 coming in, and he misses from 32. They'll be back. Jets, an improving team. Cleveland trying to get going again under Bill Belichick. And Cincinnati still looking for their first win.
Tim, I'm expecting this half that both these teams try to open things up a little bit with some kind of a gadget, you know, a reverse with a pass or some kind of a goofy play to break things open, because these defenses right now are at a standoff.
Ruzek's kickoff to open the second half. Gary Anderson fields it at the 2. Flags fly as Anderson gets to the 32-yard line. Brent Hager, reserve linebacker, made the tackle. Bucks reacting like it might be against them. A 29-yard return for Anderson, but a holding signal from Red Cashin against Tampa Bay.
This has been a real problem for Tampa Bay, Tim, nearly all year. Penalties on special teams. You get reasonably good field position, and you wind up with a penalty that puts you in a hole. And they've done this consistently this season.
So the ball backed up now to the 13-yard line, and a first down for Tampa Bay. Testaverde 5 of 15 in the first half. And nowhere to go for Reggie Cobb. Stacked up by Mike Pitts, number 74, right side tackle.
Eagles front four is just awesome, and you hear it a lot. You can't overstate it really, because they're a terrific front four. They're all big, they all run very well, they're all mobile people. And of course, if you concentrate on trying to double any one of them, whether it's Reggie White who gets most of the attention, you have somebody else working one-on-one. It's just almost impossible to block those guys.
Anderson in for Cobb. Wilson the lone setback. Anderson split out with the wide receivers. Second and a long 8. Intended for Bruce Hill, I believe. Eric Allen had the coverage, and Hill was not open. I'm not sure what Vinny had in mind there, unless they ran a wrong route. That's hard to imagine. Two veteran receivers.
This is really hard to imagine. He has excellent protection, Tim, all the time he wanted. He told us a week or so ago if he had 2 seconds, he'd be happy with that. He has more than 2 seconds here. Plenty of time to step up in the pocket, step forward, and make the delivery. But Eric Allen is all over the race. Look at their inside position. There's no way for the receiver to make the catch there. Unfortunately, the ball was thrown low. Otherwise, the Eagles would have come up with an interception.
Third down.
Third down and 2 extra backs in the secondary for the Eagles. And this time they sack him. Second sack of the day. Wes Hopkins blitzing from the safety spot.
Wes Hopkins, number 48. Sometimes the Eagles will line up in what looks like an 8-man front. And number 48, Wes Hopkins, is a safety man up here on the line. You see, they really can't account for him. No one can block him. When the ball snapped, watch what happens. Wes Hopkins comes through there completely free. There he is, coming up under his defensive end for the sack. Great scheme, and the Eagles line up with a big play.
Well, you got to believe they're going to have a bit of a rush on Royals in the end zone here. But he gets it away, and it's a good kick from Mark Royals, backing up Harris to the 47 of the Eagles. Still, he gets into Tampa Bay territory to the 48-yard line. A 45-yard punt. Calvin Tiggle, reserve linebacker, made the tackle for Tampa Bay. Brad Gable prepares to come in. A chance to remind you, next Tuesday, baseball, the American League Championship Series here on CBS. Kirby Puckett and the West champion Minnesota Twins will play host in the Homer Dome to the East champion Toronto Blue Jays. They're led by hard-hitting outfielder Joe Carter. Game 1 of the ALCS at 8:30 Tuesday night here on CBS Sports. Vinny Testaverde just unable to get it going. That's been the story right from the start of the season for Tampa Bay offensively. Heath Sherman for 5. The flag goes down late. After Sherman had ground out 5, Reuben Davis made the stop. It is against the Eagles. Eagles with offensive line problems like the Bucs have had with injuries and young players. They've got the rookie Antone Davis starting. And Davis is caught for the hold, the second holding penalty against him, as he is in the learning process.
Surprisingly, Tim, both those holding penalties were on running plays. Normally, you don't see that. You very seldom see holding on runs, so he must be getting his hands outside the frame of the defender.
William Frizzell comes in as the nickelback here on 1st and 20. Kevin Murphy goes out, the linebacker. Gable swings it out for Byers, and a good play by Broderick Thomas, shaking off the block that would have given Byers some running room.
He is yet to play his game, Tim. Is that what he said?
Yeah, you haven't seen anything yet. Words to that effect.
This guy's amazing. But, you know, last week after they lost to the Detroit Lions, he made some comments about the officiating. He said the officials must be getting paid off or something to make some of the calls they made. And, of course, the league, we thought, would take some action against it. So we checked with the front office here to find out if Broderick Thomas had been fined for those comments. And they reacted, and the answer is no. We haven't heard a thing from the league office. He was just a little hot and just blowing off steam. That's all.
Second down and about 22 now. Draw play for Sherman, and not much. 3 or 4, and Broderick Thomas again with a hit. Help from Jesse Solomon.
Broderick Thomas, number 51. He's keying inside the running backs here. If the back doesn't go away, he stays at home. Here he just holds. We call it a holding position for a linebacker. In other words, don't fly out of there. Key that back and just step up and meet him when he comes to the line of scrimmage. That's what he did.
Well, he does talk a lot. He says he's as good as anybody playing outside linebacker in the league. But the thing is, with this guy, is he delivers the goods. 3rd and 20. Gable going deep, and there will be an interference penalty here as they collared Roy Green. Gable threw that thing way downtown. I'm not sure Green would have gotten there, but he had no chance. He was grabbed by the secondary of the Bucks.
Boy, this is the thing that Floyd Peters was concerned about, Tim. He told me that when teams go up top on us, we just don't have the speed to run with people. Now, in that particular defense, they were in pretty good shape because the man who is going to be called for the penalty here was really playing a short zone. He was covered deep by a safety. He didn't have to get back there. Didn't have to grab Green. That's just a mental error here. You can see right now the play developing. There's Green, 81. Being grabbed. You can see the result after the grab. Here's right here now in the upper corner of your screen. You see right now he's being collared right there. No need to do that because he's being covered deep, you see, by the safety, and it's just a silly penalty. A costly one, too.
Looked like Ricky Reynolds, the left corner. So they have a first down. And whistles and flags. Maybe a false start against the Eagles on the play.
False start before the ball was snapped. Number 66 on the offense. Still first down.
That's Ron Solt, the right guard.
Ron Salt's beginning to play up to his old form, Tim, when he was in Indianapolis, was a Pro Bowl player. He's had some problems with knee injuries, and that's been cleared up. And as a matter of fact, he has a friend in Indianapolis who developed some kind of a tool that he uses to massage his knees. It's broken down the adhesives in his knees, and says, now I can run like a deer. Well, he's not quite that fast, but he's moving around pretty well.
Well, we said they've had their problems along the front. They're trying to keep this group together. They think this group can get it done. First down, and now 15 to go. Gable swings it out for Sherman on a screen play, trying to say, and he picks up about 7 down to the 38-yard line of Tampa Bay.
A play like this, Tim, is where an offense says, I have a lot of respect for your defense. We're not going to try to throw the ball upfield. We'll throw a screen pass behind the line of scrimmage and see if we can't go from there. So here comes a wall of blockers for Keith Sherman. A couple people fell down there. Ron Heller falls down as the lead blocker, but still comes up with decent yardage.
2nd and 9 now for Gable, who is 6 of 12 passing to this point. He's had 2 picked out. Bucks blitzing. Good catch by Byers. Breaks away from Reynolds. First down, Eagles to the 21-yard line. 17 yards on it. And it was Marty Carter, I believe, that he got away from.
This guy is the best receiver coming out of the backfield of the National Football League. We saw him drop a couple of passes earlier that were easy catches, but this is Keith Byers. He makes those catches like that all the time. Has big hands, very strong hands. Makes a key play there for the Eagles.
So it's a first down, Philadelphia, at the 21-yard line of Tampa Bay. Jackson to the 2-yard line. Carl Carter finally stopped him. Nice to see that guy make a big play like that. A real team player.
No doubt about that, Tim, but the Buccaneers have a very aggressive pass rush technique. And what the Eagles are doing, they're taking advantage of that. Saying, okay, if you're going to come down the line aggressively like that, you see that? Come down the line. We will come back against the grain because there's no one out here to contain the reverse. So here come the Eagles. The same thing happened to Tampa Bay last week in Detroit. Barry Sanders went all the way on it. This one almost gets into the end zone.
And the rookie quarterback got himself a block on the play. Floyd Peters not pleased about the reaction of his defense to it. First and goal, but a timeout is called by Gable as he didn't like the look of the defense. And the first scoring opportunity, he didn't want to screw it up. Across, the Eagles down here at the 3-yard line. First and goal it will be. And there's the young quarterback, Brad Gable, getting his chance when McMahon went down with a knee injury against Washington Monday night.
Well, if Van is here, he's up in the coach's box right now, spotting and helping with the play calling up there. And I asked him during the pregame warm-up what he thought about this young guy today. He's pretty good. He has a lot of confidence. I think he can do it.
And hopes to be back for the San Francisco game, less than a month. First and goal. Flags everywhere as Heath Sherman met at the line of scrimmage. A lot of Tampa traffic. And it looks like it's going to be against Philadelphia. So Gable had time to discuss the play they wanted against the defense.
On the offense. They did not both set for a full second. Be 5 yards, still first down.
And you can see another false start. And they're just now moving the ball out to the 8-yard line. Rich Kotite hoping they can get something into the end zone here in this scoreless football game. Bucks with a missed field goal, their best chance. Byron Evans returning an interception down to the 1-yard line, fumbled into the end zone. That's been the Eagles' best chance. It was recovered by Tampa Bay, of course. Sherman again, and gets maybe a yard and a half. McCann stops him at about the 6. Second and goal. Tim Newton getting in on it. Newton injured back in the first half. Obviously not too badly hurt. You see McCann might be favoring that sore shoulder of his.
Your thinking changes down here, Tim. In this kind of territory, you know the defense is going to try to shut everything off inside. Very difficult to run between the tackles. So now you think maybe you fake something and then roll outside of it. Or if you throw to the corners with some kind of a fade pattern.
Bucks run 3 new defenders on just before the snap of the ball. Sherman straight ahead. He's stopped at about the 3-yard line. Third goal. Thomas and Murphy made the stop. Eugene Marv getting in on it. And Sherman now has carried 20 times today for 58 yards.
58 tough yards. I mean, that's all been runs from tackle to tackle. When you get hit, you're talking about being taken down by defensive tackles and middle linebackers. That's tough work.
Third and goal. Well, they tried to run it in. That's what they came into this game trying to do, run the ball effectively, and they've done a pretty good job. But now it looks like it's pass time. Myers goes out wide to the right, and again Gable takes another timeout. So he's used 2 here early in the second half. 7:27 to go in the third quarter. We're still scoreless with a Philadelphia third down. Get these guys some dry shirt serve. I mean, what's going on down here? They didn't bring extra shirts for the coaching staff. Williamson and Kotite, 2 rookie head coaches, locked in a desperate scoreless struggle here. Eagles third and goal. They've taken 2 timeouts down here. Kenny Jackson in motion. Off tackle, Sherman gets down near the 1-yard line.
I think he kicked a field goal here. You know, the score is nothing. Anything helps, and you kick the field goal, get 3. The way the Eagles defense is playing, that might be enough. Kick the field goal, and that's what they're going to do.
McCants, Newton, Frizzell all in on the stop, and the field goal unit on. Roger Ruzick going to tee it up just outside the 8-yard line. An 18-yard attempt. Good, but a flag on the play. Ricky Reynolds had a pretty good rush on. May have made contact with Ruzek. This happened to Reynolds back in the Green Bay game.
This would be half the distance. You're going to penalize him on the kick.
Running into the kicker by the defense, number 29. That penalty is declined. Field goal.
So the Eagles take the 3. And finally, we have points on the board in Tampa Bay. We'll be right back. Ryan and Irv Cross back here at Tampa Stadium, where finally some points are on the board. They're in favor of the visiting Eagles 3-0. An 18-yard field goal by this man, Roger Ruzick, who will kick it off. Deep is Gary Anderson standing at the goal line. Always dangerous. Comes down at the 7. Anderson to the 22-yard line, stopped by William Thomas, reserve linebacker, rookie number 51. Well, next week defense will be the theme when the undefeated New Orleans Saints take on these same Philadelphia Eagles. The Saints have the best set of linebackers in the league, and there's no disputing the Eagles have the top front four. It all starts with the NFL today. The last word before kickoff with Greg, Terry, Pat, and Leslie. 12:30 next Sunday.
Defense. We've seen quite a bit of defense today, haven't we?
Boy, you bet.
Eesh.
Anderson gets about 4. Loose ball. May have been whistled dead. Eagles say they haven't. And up they come, pushing and shoving for that football. Hopkins comes out, heads for the end zone. Well, the debate has a lot of input there from both teams.
We need a mediator down there to get this straightened out.
And it is Eagles ball.
Here's a replay, Tim. Anderson's hit, and bang, number 99, Jerome Brown's the man who forces it out. Definitely a fumble. Now the question is, who got it first? The Eagles said they did, and they did. Again, a big difference. They've been running Reggie Cobb inside all day long because he's a bigger, stronger running back. Anderson is basically a back who likes to get outside. Now, he can run inside, but he's not a real durable, big, strong back to get in there, and that's the result. He's trying to do it and cost up the football.
Well, replays looking at it, they don't have a lot to look at based on the one replay we had.
Well, you can see the fumble. I mean, he was hit by Jerome Brown, and the ball squirted out of there as he was going down to the ground. It was definitely a fumble, and I believe the Eagles have recovered it. Here it is right here. You can see number 40's hit. Golick makes the initial hit. Now 99 Brown right there. Now the ball's out of there. That's a fumble, and the Eagles recovered it.
Wes Hopkins, the guy who came up with the ball and at least came running out of the pack with it.
After review by the replay official, the play stands. First down.
No point in booing about that. It was a fumble and the Eagles recovered it. Just one of those plays where Gary Anderson just gave it up.
First down at the Tampa 32-yard line for the Eagles. Sherman, he's been the workhorse. Gets maybe 2 inside the 30. 22 carries, 64 yards as Keith McCants made the stop that time. Sherman, the third-year running back from Texas A&I. 6th round pick, 1989 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Second down, a long 8. Roy Green in the slot left. Gable with time, gets it away, incomplete. In the direction of Roy Green, just as he released the ball, McCants appeared in his face.
Thomas and Ringo scoring defensive lead for Tampa Bay.
Well, those two scores remain the same. Washington and Minnesota holding leads. Green Bay is closed to within 4 of Dallas. Third down and 8 at the 30-yard line. Gable, and it hit Jackson on the shoulder pads. So Gable not exactly putting that ball in the right spot.
Keith wasn't quite ready for it. Gable saw the blitz, and he released the ball quickly as he should. But the tight end, who was an outlet man, didn't quite get his head around quickly enough. And there you go, an incomplete pass. But he saw that blitz and got rid of the ball in a hurry.
This will be a 47-yard try for Ruzick, and his long of the year is 47. Wind appears to be blowing cross field. He's got plenty of leg. It's good. 47-yard field goal, but a flag down. And it looks like it's against the Bucs. What's that do? It depends on what the infraction is.
Yeah, see what the foul is. If it's an offside penalty, it's only 5 yards. But if it's must be a personal foul of some kind, giving
Eagles
a
first down. Yeah.
Let's see a signal, Red. Come on.
Here's Red Cashin.
Holding. Number 52 on the defense. 5 yards. First down.
First down.
Holding on a field goal try. Defensive.
Sometimes the defensive lineman will try to pull the wingbacks. You pull them out of there and let somebody else come through the block, and you might have gotten caught doing that.
Wow.
Something like that.
Tremendously costly penalty. And Gable gets a new life. 7 of 15 passing, the rookie from Baylor.
Special teams penalties once again, Tim. The Tampa Bay has been just had a miserable time with them this year.
First down at the 25. Sherman pounds it out for about 3. Brad Gable, he spelled his jersey incorrectly when he first came to the Eagles camp. They had him Goble like George, played great. He says no, it's Gable like Clark, pronounced Gable but spelled G-O-E-B-E-L. Grew up on a 200-acre ranch that's got about 100 head of cattle on it these days, and his dad manages the farm cooperative in Cuero, Texas, down near San Antonio. It's about 100 miles from San Antonio. Second down. Incomplete, intended for Byers. Byers wanted an interference call against Murphy, the linebacker, number 59. None forthcoming. Third down for the Eagles. Trying to take advantage of the Gary Anderson fumble. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross at Tampa Stadium with 4:35 remaining in the third quarter. And the Eagles in Tampa territory holding a 3-0 lead on the field goal by Roger Ruzick. And whistles and flags. An apparent false start against the Eagles.
False start, number 69 of the offense before the ball was snapped. Still third down.
Bruce Colley is the man, and veteran lineman. He's been around a number of years, 7 years now in the league, but a number of years with the San Francisco 49ers. He's added a lot of experience and depth to this Eagles offensive line, and he's the one caught for the penalty. The Buccaneers have 6 defensive backs on the field right now, anticipating some kind of a pass. And every time they've had this defense on the field, Gable's had trouble, Tim. So here they are. 6 deep backs back there waiting for the pass.
Colley is in for the rookie Antone Davis at right tackle. Big third down play. Intended for Roy Green, out of bounds. Good coverage by Ricky Reynolds. And so the Eagles, who had a 47-yard field goal that was good from Roger Ruzick, took the first down on the penalty against the Bucs and wind up with 0.
Really great coverage, though, Tim. But the idea here with the 6 defensive backs is you have 4 across the board, covering the receivers one-on-one, and the 2 safeties play deep and pick up anything that seeps through. Did it well and wound up with forcing an incompletion.
Well, now Ruzek will try it from the 35-yard line for a 45-yard try. Let's see if he can duplicate it. And just. It is good. Wasn't pretty, but it was good. So Ruzek delivers on 2 tries. This one from 45 makes it 6-0. Been in replacing the rookie Antone Davis at right tackle. So we expect we'll see the rookie back out there as Collie walks it off. But Ruzek fortunately delivered again after making the 47-yarder. And the Eagles not able to advance when they got the first down on the fumble. Chris Chandler on the Bucs sideline, I'm sure hoping for an opportunity to go in and try and pull this out at the end. Testaverde 5 of 16, 52 yards at this point. Ruzek's kickoff taken by Anderson at the 5. Brett Hager got him at the 27-yard line. So not bad field position for the Bucs. 22-yard return. Testaverde brings on the Buccaneer offense. 4:08 to go, third quarter. A lot of time in this football game, obviously, and neither quarterback has been able to crank up a consistent offense. The Eagles having to settle for that 3-pointer after having the ball handed to them on the penalty in Buccaneer territory. Wilson, the fullback, loose ball. Bucs lose it. It's picked up by Thomas. William Thomas, the rookie linebacker. And they're going to bring it back to where the fumble came loose, but let's see who keeps the ball. The Eagles, there's a flag down. And Wes Hopkins is the guy who came up with it after Joyner pulled it loose.
The penalty flag count, too.
Recovery by Philadelphia, an illegal forward pass. Be 5 yards, first down.
Eagles retain possession. They get penalized 5 yards for the spot the foul, illegal forward pass when they lateraled the ball, but they keep the football. Number 20, Robert Wilson, has the ball in the wrong hand. Has the ball in the wrong hand near the tackler. Seth Joyner takes advantage of that and just popped it out of there. Here comes a rookie making a key play for the Eagles. William Thomas, a little slight guy, Thomas, but has big hands. Seth Joyner makes a key play there, forcing the fumble.
Yeah, it looked like it might have been Ben Smith, not Hopkins, who kind of scooped it up. And William Thomas was carrying it illegally, thus the whistle on the play and the penalty to the Eagles. But they have the ball.
We've got a fumble on the field. The ball was recovered by Philadelphia. The ball was handed forward. It's a 5-yard penalty, but it's still Philadelphia's ball.
Right. It's penalized from the spot of the foul. We saw a similar play to Tampa Bay and Green Bay a couple of weeks ago. We called that, Tim, when the ball was lateral forward and he had to bring it back. And that play was a touchdown call. And we brought it all the way back, brought it back to the line of scrimmage and marched it off. And what happened? Well, we learned what happened. You cannot lateral the ball forward. It's an illegal forward pass. So you bring the ball back to the spot of the foul, march off forward 5 yards, but you retain possession.
The play stands is called first down.
The key to this drive, though, Tim, for the Eagles, is that the Eagle defense felt they had to pick it up a couple of notches to establish good field position for their offense. They didn't feel they could drive the length of the field against Tampa Bay, and so far, they've been able to do that. They've established good field position for their offense.
So the young free agent rookie takes over again here inside the 30-yard line for the Eagles. Sherman, and flags fly again. And Sherman got a couple of yards. And a holding call against Philadelphia. Talked about both these offensive lines still trying to come together, and you can see there are problems on both sides.
66 on the offense, 10 yards, still first down.
Ron Solt, he's missed a game with an ankle injury. Dennis McKnight is in there on the left side, a position held last year by Mike Shadd, and Cecil Gray starting at left tackle. He got hurt. Ron Heller moved over there. He played some on the right side. Got a rookie Davis on the right side. So this is not an offensive lineup that's been together along the front for Philadelphia, and they have the same problem Tampa Bay. Sherman again gets a couple. It's going to leave second and about 18.
This is the kind of game, Tim, though, when it's over, everybody goes into the locker room with a headache because it's a smash mouth football. You know that the Eagles' intent is to run the football, not take any chances with it, try to set up, fairly short scoring opportunities for their offense. And Tampa Bay basically has done the same thing in their offensive scheme. But this is a tough football game to play in. It's just line up and crack the guy's skull in front of you.
Well, a game that's been sprinkled with the flags and turnovers by both teams. And just 6 points on the scoreboard. Sherman on a little swing pass, well covered by Broderick Thomas. Not much. In fact, loss of maybe a couple. Well, for another NFL Today report, let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York.
Well, Tim, at Soldier Field in Chicago, this game is tightened up. From a yard out, Neil Anderson's dive is good for 6. The extra point makes it a 10-7 Washington lead, and they've just begun the fourth quarter in Chicago. Tim?
All right, Greg. Well, the Bears are tough at home, that's for sure. They were embarrassed by Buffalo last week.
I just wonder, Tim, how Washington will respond after that Monday night game. They played well against Philadelphia, and will they come back with a short work week and do well against the Bears? Big question.
Gable for Byers, and again Broderick Thomas. He's just looking for those little passes. The release passes, there have been 2 of them in a row, and Thomas is right there when the ball arrives.
The reason why he's there, Tim, is that Broderick Thomas has good speed. He can run step for step with Keith Byers, and his job on most of those defenses is to key Byers and mirror him wherever he goes. You can't see him, but see him right in the number 51? He's got Byers all the way now. As soon as he turns upfield, whack, there he is. Outstanding football.
So the Buccaneers defense does the job again, and Eagles on to punt, standing at the 46-yard line. Angling for the corner. Ball comes back into the center of the field. Drury's fair catch, and he nearly dropped it. With an Eagle right there ready to grab it, John Hudson. But Drury held on. A 26-yard punt. Bruce Colley taken to the locker room. The Eagles offensive tackle. Onto the locker room with an injury. Well, game 1 Wednesday night, the National League Championship Series on CBS Sports. And the star duo Bobby Bonilla and Barry Bonds of the Pittsburgh Pirates will play host to the surprising Atlanta Braves, who clinched the NL West yesterday in dramatic fashion with their 8th straight victory. That's game 1 of the National League Championship Series Wednesday night, 8:30 Eastern here on CBS Sports. Testaverde on first down has to throw it away under pressure from Joyner. And that's one of those real close calls. And had Joyner been a little closer to getting the sack, they might have called intentional grounding, but Testaverde got rid of it. That's Jeff Carlson, the 3rd-string quarterback, signaling in.
That pattern never really developed. There wasn't anybody out there. The timing was, it wasn't there. Testaverde did the smart thing, throw the ball away and line up for another opportunity. But frankly, I'm surprised he's not playing better, Tim. He was so determined when we talked to him that this competition he's having with Chris Chandler, here's his chance to start. He wants to do well because he wants to remain the starter here. And so far, he hasn't done it.
2nd and 10. Deep sideline, again well covered. Just as well it was out of bounds, intended for Bruce Hill, but Ben Smith had him all the way. So the receiver's not getting open for Testaverde against this very strong defensive unit of the Eagles.
Strong into the strength of that defense too. When you try to attack Ben Smith and Eric Allen, the 2 corners for the Eagles, you're not going to have a lot of success there because they are terrific single coverage cornerbacks.
What's happened to Ron Hall, the tight end? Why wouldn't they be trying to get to him in the middle then?
That's what I was going to say. The guy I'd worked to is the number 82 Ron Hall because he's very effective coming inside.
3rd and 10. And they sack Testaverde, a flag down, the ball loose in the end zone. Eagles recover it there, and it is a touchdown signal. Now let's see how the flag turns out. Reggie White, Wes Hopkins blitzing from the safety position. Holding against Tampa, declined, and that's a touchdown. So the Eagles defense delivers the goods with points.
Byron Evans told us that we not only want to take the ball away, we want to take it and score. Now watch this blitz. Number 48, Wes Hopkins is a safety who comes in there first, makes the initial contact, and then Reggie White slaps the ball out of his hand. Seth Joyner alertly scoops it up and wanders into the end zone. So the Eagles defense comes up with 6 points. Again, number 48, Wes Hopkins on a safety blitz, comes through free to make the initial hit. And Reggie White forces the ball out of there, and there's a touchdown by Joyner.
Well, this is an awesome defense, and they can score points. Final minute, third quarter. Replay is looking at it.
After a review by the replay official, the play stands. Touchdown.
And Ruzek will attempt the point after. It's good. So the Philadelphia Eagles now have a 13-0 lead in the final minute of the third period at Tampa Stadium. And then once again, the rain has started to come down. And it is raining on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Seems they're a little more wet than the Eagles are at this point.
Well, they're struggling, Tim. They really are struggling, but it's very important for this team to stay in there. I'm talking about Tampa Bay. They continue to fight. Their defense is playing well. They need a bright spot somewhere on offense. You can see right now, I think that they're getting together saying, look, let's not let this thing get us down. We're still in this football game. It's only 13-0. Sure, we haven't scored anything yet, but let's come up with a big play.
Well, they've got a whole quarter to go, but
sure,
they've got to make something happen. Maybe it's going to have to be their defense that makes the play.
Exactly. They have a defense that's capable of taking the ball away and scoring, just as the Eagles did. And it could wind up being that way.
Saw Jeff Carlson throwing the ball down there on the sidelines. We don't know if that portends anything, but Chandler is there as well. Chandler and Carlson both. So we may be seeing the likely pick, of course, would be Chandler. We'll find out after this kickoff. Testaverde 0 for his last 6 attempts. 5 of 18 in the game, just 52 yards. That doesn't get it done. Anderson drops it at the 5, and it's grabbed by the Eagles, lost, recovered by Tampa Bay. Well, better wait on this one, folks. Eagles say they have it back again inside the 5. And the Bucs apparently have come up with it. Robert Hardy, number 36. Man, that was like a pinball. And Chandler takes the field.
Here comes a new quarterback for the Buccaneers, Sam. Again, this quarterback controversy here is really heated. But watch Anderson. You have to cradle this ball. This slides off his jersey. He never gets his hands under. You see this? Slips right through the numbers. Boy.
Now there's the first shot. Miano had a whack at it for the Eagles. And then Highsmith, who just joined the team, had a shot at it for Tampa Bay. And fortunately for the Bucs, finally Hardy came up with it. So Chandler takes over. Reggie Cobb, nowhere to go. No gain. Mike Pitts on the hit. Well, Chris Chandler, his numbers for this year. Started last week, was knocked out of that game, suffering a concussion, but he was hit by Benny Blades of the Lions, and Testaverde finished up, but he was also ineffective, and Chandler had not done much in that game. He was 10 of 26 when he left, but he had run the ball for 56 yards, and that was really all of the offense Tampa had last week.
Yeah, but Tim, over 2 years, he hasn't won a game. He's 0 for 4 as a starter, so he's trying to find a victory for himself here, too. His first victory.
He's got it out to Cobb, and Cobb has a first down. Tampa Bay pulled down by Andre Waters.
With that said, they might have some success, Tim, because what they do is they move Cobb outside to go one-on-one on the strong safety.
And that brings us to the end of the third quarter with the score: the Eagles 13, the Buccaneers nothing. Our coverage continues after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. By Ruzek, and a defensive touchdown. Seth Joyner recovering a fumble after Testaverde was sacked at the 1-yard line. Ball rolling into the end zone, and Joyner jumping on it for the Eagles. Chandler, the new quarterback. First down. Reggie Cobb make it Wilson. Robert Wilson, number 30, getting it out over the 20-yard line. Number 20, pardon me, over the 20-yard line for a gain of about 4 yards.
Both teams came here with the idea of running the football, but look at Tampa Bay's results, Tim. Only 87 yards in total offense, so they just haven't come up with it.
52 yards passing for Testaverde when he left the game, but only 5 of 18. Not a lot of mileage. Chandler's turn to try with a lot of time left for Tampa Bay to make something happen. Out of the eye now. Reggie Cobb. Short of the first down, tripped up by Reggie White. And it'll leave third and about a yard. Tim Ryan comes on to block. The other Tim Ryan, Jesse Anderson.
The other
tight end.
Well, we know you're not blocking down there.
And I got the other guy playing in Chicago. Wonder how he's doing today.
There he is, number 64, Tim Ryan, the real football player.
That's right. All we have in common is the University of Notre Dame, I can tell you that. 3rd and 1. This guy's normally an offensive guard, a rookie, and they think he's going to be a fine player for him. They use him as a tight end here on the short yardage. Play action. Jesse Anderson, yes! Oh, you got to love that play on 3rd and 1. Now that'll give him a lift. Chandler to Jesse Anderson, the tight end.
Tim, we knew it was going to happen sooner or later. The tight ends had to get involved in the offense. Jesse Anderson here is a tight end. He's going to die. And Chandler will fake a run. They come out of here with a pass. So here goes Anderson. Free. One-on-one. On number 20, Andre Waters. That's what the Bucs needed, Tim. A big play like that to get out of the hole.
The Eagles' 40-yard line. First down. Reggie Cobb over his own blocker, got about 6 yards, and we now have a medical report on Vince Testaverde that he has a chip fracture on the right thumb of his passing hand, of course. And,
I wonder when that happened. I wonder when it happened because it looked like he wasn't really throwing the ball with the sort of velocity he would normally throw it. He might have hurt it fairly early in the game.
Well, remember, he went 0 for 6 his last 6 passes. And definitely was having difficulty delivering the ball. So now we've been told that he did suffer a thumb fracture. And what else can happen to Testaverde? 2nd and 2. That's laid up there for Dossie, and it is intercepted. Flag down. Ben Smith made the grab, and let's see whether he's charged with interfering. Battle for the ball. Chandler tried to lob that ball up there to time it for Dossie. And it's going to be interference against Smith.
Oh, that's a tough call because Smith had good inside position and the receiver left his feet to go up high to make the interception. There was some contact while they were in the air, but the defense has every right to that ball as the offense once it goes in the air. Now watch number 26. Look at his position on number 80. Now he may have had some contact. That looks like a good defensive play to me. Goes up one-handed and makes a great interception. That's not a penalty, folks. That's just a tough call. But in any case, Tampa Bay winds up with a first down.
At the 20-yard line. Chandler for Drury, and knocked away by Ben Smith. Flying to the ball.
Terrific reaction, Tim. There's always a point with the defensive back where you have to decide to leave the receiver, go for the ball. Now here, a quick slant, breaks inside, knocks that ball down. He had the interception in a similar way. He got inside of the receiver, reached up and intercepted the ball. Of course, he bumped him and had the penalty called on him, but 2 successive plays by Ben Smith. They're simply outstanding. You don't work against the Eagles' corners. You got to go inside. Get the tight ends in the offense.
2nd and 10. Chandler goes inside, and this time the linebacker tips it. Andre Waters has it. Hopkins made the interception. Brett Hager tipped the ball, number 54. Hopkins lateraled it to Waters, and the Eagles have the ball at their 2-yard line. Lawrence Dossey, the intended receiver. We'll be back in Tampa as we see this again. Hager makes the tip, Hopkins makes the catch. Well, you can see that Sherman's been a busy man today. 24 carries. That's what the Eagles wanted to do. Anderson made the big play for the Buccaneers. However, it turned into an interception down at the 2-yard line by Hopkins. A tipped pass. Brett Hager, the linebacker, got a hand on Chandler's pass, and Hopkins came up with it, lateraling to Waters. So on 1st down, Sherman brings it up to the 7-yard line, where Dexter Nichols, the 5-year man from Florida State, made the tackle there. Nichols in for Tim Newton on the front of the Tampa Bay Bucks. Second down and 6. Good hit on Sherman. For a gain of about 3. And Tony Covington coming up from safety to make the initial contact.
Tim, this has to be a little frustrating for the Tampa Bay defense because they've played pretty good football. You know, they've been in every series. They haven't given up any big plays. There's a penalty on the special teams that put them in a hole, but for the most part, they're playing winning football on defense. And you know, I'm sure they've made up their minds right now. If they're going to win this football game, they'll have to take the ball away and score themselves because the offense just hadn't been able to get it done.
Dexter Manley, Dexter Nichols, and Rhett Hall, the front 3 now, as Floyd Peters has changed up his entire front on this series. And Sherman picks up the 1st down. Tough yardage on 3rd and 3. So Brad Gable now has a little working room as the ball is out at the 15-yard line. And here at Tampa Stadium, the Eagles with a 13-0 lead, 9:44 winding down. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross watching a defensive battle, to say the least. And it has been outstanding defense on the part of the Eagles, shutting out Tampa Bay. And as Irv said moments ago, the Bucs defense has really played well enough as far as their side of the ball is concerned, but Tampa Bay's offense has been stymied. Eagles with a pair of field goals and a defensive touchdown. Sherman again for a couple.
I know when the Eagles came into this game thinking they wanted to run the football, I don't think Sherman thought he'd be the guy carrying the ball this much. You know, Richie Kotite did tell us that we'd probably see Robert Drummond sometime during the course of the game too. A young man out of Syracuse, been in the league around 3 years, has good hands, a good inside runner. He may well help take some of the load off of Sherman as the game progresses deep into this 4th quarter. But Sherman is really having some heavy-duty work today.
The Eagles hoping to get Thomas Sanders back too from an ankle injury. A guy that figured to see a lot of action in the running back spot. He's been out hurt. Sherman again, and not much. A couple of yards at most. That'll leave 3rd down and about 6. Ray Seals and Jesse Solomon on the tackle.
Tim, in previous series, every time the Eagles came up with 3rd and long, the Buccaneers would attack with their 6 defensive backs, and Gables had trouble throwing the ball against that. And we may see that configuration again. If we do, this could be where the Bucs make their big play.
Well, this is a stop them down for the Bucs right here on 3rd down and long in the Philadelphia zone inside the 20. And they're going to run it. So the Eagles help them. And it is Rhett Hall, the rookie from California, and the linebacker Eugene Marv, and the Eagles will have to punt.
What that means to me, Tim, when you run a play like that, is just saying we're not taking any chances with the ball. We have a 13-point lead. We'll let our defense hold it for us. We think that when we punt the ball back to you, our defense can keep you off the scoreboard. They've done it so far. Let's keep them. Let's ask them to do it again.
Philadelphia 3-2, trying to get to 4-2 today, with Washington leading in the NFC East at 5-0. Dallas right there with them at 3-2. They'll win any way they can. Drury, pretty good return, gets back to midfield, a 46-yard punt. And the Bucks will start from there when we return. Now the Eagles haven't been a thrill a minute, but they've had the ball 34 minutes to 19 for Tampa Bay, and that's exactly what Rich Kotite would want for a free agent rookie quarterback starting for the first time today. Get the work from the defense and keep the ball. Chandler on first down. He's going deep for Bruce Hill, and it is picked up by Eric Allen. Eric Allen stopped at the 17-yard line, but not a good pass from Chandler. That thing floated up there waiting to be grabbed by a green shirt, and it was. We'll be back at Tampa in a moment.
Earlier this week, he told me that we were going to change up our game plan this week because last week against Detroit, all of our tendencies were charted and we didn't do anything different. We didn't have a chance to move the ball offensively. So today, they were going to come in and show different looks and open the things up a little bit and run some reverses and some wide open plays, and we just haven't seen it. Maybe the Eagle defense just chased them out of it.
6 turnovers by the Bucks, 3 interceptions, 3 fumbles, one of them leading directly to a touchdown, the sack of Testaverde, and Joyner's defensive touchdown. So Sherman gets maybe a yard at most. In fact, there will be virtually no gain. Ray Seals stopping him as the Eagles start. Another first down at their 17-yard line. This game presented by authority of the National Football League. This CBS telecast intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of the telecast without the express written consent of CBS, the Tampa Bay Bucks, and the National Football League is prohibited. Indeed, it turns into about a half-yard loss. So the ball spotted at the 16-yard line. Brad Gable, the pride of Cuero, Texas. The quarterback today. And Sherman, who has been a busy young man earning his money this afternoon carrying the football for the Eagles, picks up about 3. And for another NFL Today report, let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York.
All right, Tim, at Soldier Field in Chicago, the Rippin to Art Monk combo strikes for the second time today. This one for 5 yards. Washington leads at 17-7, and they've just added a field goal to make it 20-7 in the fourth quarter. All the highlights on the postgame show. Tim?
Okay, Greg. You and I were talking about those Redskins. You know, they just never look spectacular. They just beat you. They've got a lot of guys, you know, who just do their thing. It's there's something, and that's great coaching. Sherman again. Maybe another loss. He's carried 33 times in this football game. If he gets 2 more of those, he's going to tie an Eagle record, which he set himself last year. 30th Washington.
He's 86 yards. I mean, that's tough duty. Really, it's just get the ball, take 1 step, and smash. That's what it's been all day.
For his outstanding play in last week's game against the Detroit Lions.
Well, that's great respect for this Tampa Bay Bucks defense, too, and great respect for your own. They want to take chances with the young quarterback, throwing the ball, obviously, protecting their lead, and having such confidence in their own defense. And, well, they should, the way they're going here today and all season long. Fiegel stands at the 5-yard line. And Willie Drury at the 39 of Tampa Bay. Whoops.
Oh.
Fiegels had the ball and looked like he just had trouble getting it in position to kick it. And the Bucks came pouring in.
And the first Buck to show up was Broderick Thomas, number 51. He lined up right over the center's head, and as soon as the ball was snapped, he just blitzed right up the middle. Sold out. And watch this, number 51 right over the center's head. Here he comes. And the kicker really didn't have a chance. Had he tried to kick that ball, it would have been blocked. He did the right thing by eating it. It looks like Fiegels may be down with an injury. But again, watch this. Fiegels getting set up to kick the ball. He drops it. He probably looked up and saw Broderick Thomas coming. And now he's down. Looks like he may have an injury problem.
Now, Fiegels not only is the punter here today, but he's the disaster quarterback. He said himself, if I'm the quarterback, it'll be a disaster. And now they have to worry about whether he can punt or not. Looks like he's holding his shoulder. And the Buccaneers, 4:59 still to play. If they can get it into the end zone here, who knows what lies ahead before this game's over. Now, those Philadelphia injuries, we alluded to them at the top of the game. They're without their two starting wide receivers, and they've had all kinds of guys across their offensive line.
Well, the biggest injury, of course, Randall Cunningham. He's out. And then they lose McMahon with an injury. So the Eagles have been plagued with injuries this year. But kickers, Tim, just don't get hit that often. You know, whether you're a punter or a field goal kicker, if they have to pick up a ball and run with it, when a tackle is, when the collision comes, they oftentimes don't get up. They just don't get hit that often.
Ybor City, appear in St. Petersburg. Send T on Clearwater Beach or on St. Arnold Circle in Sarasota.
Well, we're giving you a look at the scoreboard as they attend to Jeff Fiegels, who's now on his feet. We're happy to report, and we'll be going to the NFL Today post-game show to bring you up to date to the moment on all of the NFL activity today, with Greg and Terry bringing you the highlights along with all the scores. Fiegels seems to be favoring his right shoulder, but we're glad to see him walking off under his own steam, and the ball rests at the 8-yard line, where the Buccaneers now have got a golden opportunity to get back into this ball game.
Again, set up by basically a defensive play. The defensive line team holding Eagles deep in their territory, and then Broderick Thomas coming up with a big play.
And if you had picked somebody to come up with one, it would have been Broderick Thomas. Reggie Cobb, and he is stuffed. Reggie White. No gain. Well, they're going to give him about a half a yard. Ball resting just inside the 8. Second and goal. Got Robert Wilson, touchdown. .419 still to play. That gets the crowd into it. First touchdown for the rookie from Texas A&M.
They've been working outside to the wide receivers. They hadn't had much success this time to go to a back and come up with 6.
Christie with a point after. 13-7 lead.
Number 20, Wilson in the backfield. The tight end is here. He comes down inside. It's like a star pattern, used to call this. But he's working on the linebacker, Seth Joyner. Now watching the ball is snapped. What he wants to do is get outside position on him right away. Right now, Joyner's in trouble. If you can lead that receiver, get the ball out in front of him so he can run to the corner, you have a touchdown. Bucks come up with 6. Well, Chris Chandler has to be happy with that, huh?
Yes. Chandler 2 of 5 with 2 interceptions before that play. Has now redeemed himself somewhat, and they are very much in the ball game here. 4:19 to go. A converted touchdown could win it for Tampa Bay, and Rich Kotite starts to pace a little more over there on that Eagles sideline. Remember, Testaverde started this game and left after going 5 of 18 and just 52 yards, and apparently with a fractured thumb. Chandler coming in, trying to.
Tim, remember early in the second half where young Gable took two timeouts early on. We said, gee, I wonder what's going to happen in the fourth quarter. Now it's come down to that. The Eagles only have 1 timeout left. Tampa Bay 3. So they're in pretty good shape with almost a little over 4 minutes, 19 seconds on the clock.
Eagles look like they might have expected an onside kick try, but Christie knocks it through the end zone. So the Bucs feeling their defense can get the ball back for them. They played awfully well today. And the crowd getting into it here. Well, tonight on CBS, following football action, stay with us for 60 minutes, followed by Murder, She Wrote, and the CBS Sunday movie Fire in the Dark, starring Olympia Dukakis, Lindsay Wagner, and Gene Stapleton, a dramatic and touching new motion picture for television about a woman who must come to terms with growing older and her family's realization that love and devotion are not enough to care for her at home. Sounds like an excellent film. Floyd Peters pumping up his troops and the Tampa Bay crowd. Sherman, and he is met at the line. Ray Seals, the left defensive end, found a little gap and stopped him in his tracks. Gave him about a yard on the play. 2nd and 9. Sherman again. A flag flies as the Buccaneers stop him. With again virtually no gain. Tim Newton. Keith McCants. Broderick Thomas all in on it. And the penalties against the Eagles.
Holding, number 78 on the offense, 10 yards, still 7 down.
Antone Davis, yet another holding call. A rookie from Tennessee, number 1 pick.
I believe that's his 3rd one, Tim. They've all been on running plays on Davis, the holding penalties. But you can feel the momentum of this game beginning to swing towards Tampa Bay. You know, Antone really is you know, his strength is as a drive blocker. This is should be the strongest part of his game, but he's come up with 3 holding penalties on running plays.
Sherman got maybe a yard at most, tripped up by Seals. And it'll be 3rd down and about 17.
It's funny, Tim, so much of football is your mindset. And right now the Eagles have adopted the attitude that we don't want to lose the game. Instead of saying, let's get first downs and drive this ball out of here, they're saying protect the football, don't give it up. But right now, the Buccaneers seem to be the aggressors.
Well, the clock is becoming the factor, of course. Here's a big play for the Eagles and for the Buccaneers more so. 3rd down, 16. They got to throw it here. Bad pass for Roy Green. The Eagles will have to punt. Gable has not been throwing the ball well, really, since back in early in the first half.
It's really strange to see that too, Tim, because he does have a strong arm, and he normally just sits back there and relaxes and whips that ball out there. Maybe the tension of the big game is starting to get to him.
Well, I think so. Eagles made the punt. Drury from the 35 to the 45-yard line of Tampa Bay. And Ken Rose made the tackle, a 47-yarder from Feagles. Remember, he took quite a shot down there when he fumbled the ball not too long ago, but he's evidently all right. 2:24 left for the Buccaneers and Chris Chandler, and a converted touchdown would put them in the lead.
Tim, the Buccaneers have been trying to attack the Eagles' corners, Ben Smith and Eric Allen. Haven't had much success with that. I would think that in this drive, with a little more than 2 minutes left to go on the clock and 3 timeouts, they would begin to feature their tight end, Ron Hall, who's one of the top tight ends in football.
That's complete to Hall. Well, they threw it to him, and they got him on a linebacker, but they still threw it outside. Nonetheless, they got what you thought they should do.
I want first downs, Tim. I don't want to go 60 yards in one shot. It would be nice to do that, but if you can maintain control of the ball, get the first downs, move the ball down the field systematically, get to 7 with no time on the clock, you're in pretty good shape, aren't you?
First down at the 44-yard line. 2:17 left to play. Well, this is Chris Chandler's chance to prove that he ought to start next week. Testaverde's thumb, that may be moot anyway. Draw play. Anderson. It's about 3.
It's the 41-yard line.
Mike Pitts.
Mike Pitts and Willis Smith making the tackle.
Byron Evans. Ben Smith all in on it. And so we've reached the 2-minute warning with the score: the Eagles 13, Tampa Bay 7, and driving. Simpson along the sideline with Morris Watts, the quarterback coach, the offensive brain trust, Hank Coleman upstairs, the offensive coordinator, Bud Carson, the defensive boss of the Eagles. And the matchup is between those minds and the bodies on the field of these players with 2 minutes to go. Chandler, second down at the 41 of the Eagles. For Hall, incomplete. Joyner had the coverage. Hall actually had a step on him, but Chandler had to step away from a rusher and did not get the mustard on the ball.
He really wanted to go upfield with it. The Eagles secondary had everybody covered. Again, the corners had the wide receivers covered like a blanket. Ron Hall was his alternate receiver, but he couldn't quite shake free of the linebacker, Seth Joyner. But again, I expect to see more plays like that with Hall being the primary target during this series of drives with less than 2 minutes to go here.
Golick and Brown are the 2 tackles in there right now in that 3-man rotation with Pitts. White and Simmons on the ends for the Eagles. Third down, huge play for the Buccaneers. And Chandler, complete. Lawrence Dossie. First down, Bucks to the 24 of the Eagles. 17 yards to the rookie from Florida State. Four wide receivers. Ron Hall, the tight end, lined up in the backfield. Chandler, complete to Dossie. To the 5-yard line. .113 on the clock. Ben Smith went for the ball and paid the price there.
Ben Smith gambled and lost that time. He decided to go ahead and go for the interception, missed the ball. Now watch this throw again. Ben Smith, number 26, has pretty good position on Dossie on the outside, but he decides to leave the receiver, go for the football, and somehow it went between his hands. Dossie, with great concentration, comes up with a catch. This young man, by the way, from Florida State, has been noted as one of the toughest wide receivers in football. He makes a lot of key plays. Beat him in college at Florida State, and he's beginning to make that impression here in Tampa Bay. Big play.
Rich Miano saved the touchdown. Chandler now 6 of 10. 100 yards passing. 113 on the clock. Those stats won't mean a thing if he can get a touchdown for Tampa Bay that wins him a football game. Numbers won't count at all. They were looking for a quarterback who can come up with the winning plays. The
thing that amazes me about his drives, though, Tim, is he told me he only handled the ball 7 times in practice last week. Rather.
113. First and goal from the 5. Touchdown, Hill. Hill wide open in the end zone. Short drop from Chandler, no hesitation. Christie with a chance to put them ahead. He does. .109, one timeout remaining for the Eagles.
Tim, I think we're just seeing the Buccaneers' new starting quarterback. Fractured thumb or no, Chris Chandler was very impressive on that drive. Bruce Hill's in the slot working against Ben Smith, who's normally a cornerback. He's comfortable out here. He doesn't like being inside the formation, but watch what happens when the ball is snapped here. Bruce Hill gets good inside position on Ben, doesn't have any help inside. Easy post pattern for a touchdown. Chris Chandler right now has it all, Tim. The touchdown, it looks like a starting job here in Tampa Bay.
He must have been talking to that voodoo priest before the game.
Could be.
Came out here and got that stuff going there, had the ceremony. Wanted to relieve the curse. They say is 8 years old since they traded Doug Williams. Well, Chandler may have lifted it, but there's 109 to go here. Loose ball. Harris. Tampa has it. Came up with it. Robert Hardy stripped it.
Rod Harris makes all the calls on kickoff returns. An excellent return man. Again, the ball is on the wrong side. The ball is towards the tackler. He should have shifted over to his right hand. Comes inside to hit the pile, and of course the ball comes out of there. Tampa Bay comes up with the recovery.
Well, there's the voodoo priest, Frank Jerry. This was on Friday outside Tampa Stadium. Yes, they were trying to shake off the curses he saw. He related it to when they traded Doug Williams, the quarterback of Washington 8 years ago. Maybe that guy knew something Richard Williamson didn't. 1:03. The Bucs with a chance to win their first game of the year. And the Eagles, who led this ball game well into the fourth quarter, will fall to 3-3.
Tim, I asked Coach Williamson about that voodoo person and whether or not, I said, if you win Sunday, would you have the voodoo guy come out every weekend? He said, you better believe it. You better believe it. So I think our voodoo master will be out here again next weekend, next home game.
Might have to travel him. Minutes ago here in the fourth quarter, Richard Williamson, desperate for his first victory of the year. He's won only once since taking over from Ray Perkins last year, late in the season. The winless Buccaneers have been mercilessly hammered in the local media and by the fans. Letters to the editor in today's paper, ripping the owner, Hugh Culverhouse. Nothing to wipe out all that stuff like a win. Brad Gable, the rookie free agent, who did a reasonable job.
Well, he did what was asked of him, Tim. You know, they kept the ball on the ground as they wanted to coming in this ball game. They didn't make any really serious errors or put them in a hole, but they just didn't have enough offense today. Both defensive teams played outstanding football. This game to Tampa Bay is a game, I think, where they finally found themselves. Their football team, as good as they think it is, showed themselves today, Tim.
Well, coming up next, our post-game show with Greg and Terry. Highlights and scores from around the rest of the league today. This will be hard to match in terms of an upset. An 0-5 Buccaneer team against a Super Bowl contender like the Eagles, even though they're without Cunningham and McMahon today. 19 seconds, and that'll finish it up. Down to 0. And this Tampa Bay defensive team deserves all the credit. Chris Chandler for that final drive that produced the winning score, and the monkeys off the back of Richard Williamson. And perhaps on the back of that man, Rich Kotite.
Well, Tampa Bay finally broke that 7-game losing streak, Tim, and that's a big relief for that man. As I said before, Coach Williamson and, of course, Chris Chandler came in with an outstanding effort when they needed it. But the Eagles have to go back to the drawing board. Without their top quarterbacks in camp, they're going to have trouble scoring points.
So the final score, the Bucs 14, the Eagles 13 here at Tampa Stadium. Don't go away.